Come in.
Look, it seems to me that perhaps we do not understand what Galamsay is and what its consequences are for our nation. You know, and I think that we've been talking a lot of rubbish, absolute rubbish about Galamsay. Look, this is a criminal activity. The worst criminal activity, the most dangerous criminal activity, the most expensive criminal activity in our country. That's what we're dealing with. You understand? Galamsay affects every aspect of our lives. Every aspect of our life. Galamsay can actually lead to the extinction of our society. That's what we're talking about. You understand? I mean, there's evidence, medical evidence, scientific evidence that Galamsay has led to the deformation of babies. There are reports in the mining areas of babies being born with multiple organs. There are reports of babies being born without eyes, without limbs, and so on. People who are born from birth with cancer, and so on. There's medical evidence for this. Children born without eyes, and so on. That's only part, small part of the Galamsay problem. Look, within the last 2 to 3 years, cocoa production has fallen by more than 60%. And if we claim that cocoa is the lifeblood of the economy, can you imagine the damage? Cocoa production has fallen by more than 60% within the last 3 years, mostly attributable to Galamsay. You understand what I'm saying? It is not just about cocoa production. It's affecting agriculture. You are talking about the fact that we don't produce enough food. We are importing tomatoes from Burkina Faso and so on. All of this can also be attributed to Galamsay. It's affecting agriculture in a very serious way. You understand? Inland fishing. Inland fishing. We have all these rivers crisscrossing our country and so on. Fish cannot survive in these rivers who are polluted as a result of the Galamsay activity. Inland fishing is at risk. We now live in a country bordered on the south by the Atlantic Ocean with all of these rivers which has to import fish. Does it make sense to you? We are importing fish. That's how bad the problem is. Listen, it's affecting our water supply. Don't you get shocked when you go into the supermarket and you see imported bottled water? Are you not shocked? Water. We are having to import water in a country like Ghana, traceable to Galamsay. The Ghana Water Company is collapsing. Look, it's gotten to the point where the water simply cannot be treated. No matter what chemicals you apply to it, it cannot be treated. Water supply facilities across the country are being closed down because of Galamsay. That's how serious the problem is. We're having to spend a lot more on our road networks. The road networks are being destroyed. Travel around the country and see the roads that we have. Why? The equipment that is being moved to these mining areas and so on, sometimes they are heavier than our roads can take. It's destroying our roads. Our security services are being compromised. They are being introduced to all kinds of practices which lower their morale, which lower their commitments, you know, and so on. The security services are being destroyed completely as a result of Galamsay. Galamsay is worse, far worse than the Islamic insurgency taking place in Burkina Faso, Mali, and other places. It's a vicious crime. That is what we are confronted with. You know, so when we talk about Galamsay so bleakly, you know, and so on, I just wonder. This is the biggest threat to our survival as a nation. Biggest threat to our survival as a nation. So, I mean, Magda, if there's a government which cannot solve this problem, it is not worth the title of government. Any government which is not able to solve the problem of Galamsay is a useless government. We don't need that government. It ought to be the principal task of government to solve this problem. Now, you see, having described the extent of the problem, I don't think that I've adequately described the extent of the problem. So this is a problem which is crucial to our existence as a people. If we don't solve this problem, we cannot continue to exist as a country with a people. Very important. You understand? But you see, every now and then, all kinds of politicians, I mean all kinds of politicians, they come and tell us about how they are committed to fighting Galamsay, and how they are forming guards, and how they are bringing drones, and how they are doing that and that and that. Absolute rubbish, nonsense. Sana, look, Galamsay is a capital-intensive enterprise. Yeah. If you are not rich, you cannot operate the Galamsay business. You have to be very, very rich. Look, this is a business which involves the use of excavators, of bulldozers, of champagnes, and so on. These are not cheap. Now, look at the people who have been arrested for involvement in Galamsay. Poor people, ordinary people. People who cannot afford the excavators. People who cannot afford the champagnes. You understand? People who cannot afford the bulldozers and so on. Those are the people we are arresting and putting before court. Why are we deceiving ourselves? Why have we been deceiving ourselves all these years? The people we arrest and put before the courts are not the people operating the Galamsay enterprise. They are not the beneficiaries. They are not the investors. These are ordinary laborers. People who labor for pay, who work for the big guys. So don't let us deceive ourselves. When they arrest 25 people and put them before court, we think we are fighting. We are not fighting anything. The day we will start arresting the real investors, the big men and women, the politicians, the big businessmen and so on, who are funding this criminal enterprise, that will be the day when we'll be making strides to end Galamsay. Listen. Take all the reports of the fight against Galamsay. Take all of them. And when you read them, it's just a joke. We are joking. I haven't seen any serious thing about Galamsay up to today. The latest is that we are hearing the IGP instructing his men to be hard on Galamsay. What does that mean? What does that? What does that mean?
Physical hard or what?
They should go to the forest and arrest the laborers. Is that a solution? It is not a solution. You understand? It is not a solution. It's a waste of time. Why? We have all this investigative apparatus with so-called competent men and women. And these investigative bodies cannot establish the real kingpins in Galamsay. They cannot. All they do is to set up guards who raid forests and arrest small people. Very, very small people, and parade them before the cameras.
Yeah.
And they expect us to applaud them. We will not applaud you. We are not fighting Galamsay. It's a charade, complete charade. You understand? So, Senna, for as long as our mineral wealth is exploited for private profit, we would not be able to fight Galamsay. Our mineral wealth should be exploited by the state within the framework of policy which balances the need to generate some resources from exploiting the minerals and also the welfare of our people and so on. There ought to be a clear balance. That balance cannot be assured by persons exploiting the mineral resources for private profit. The exploitation of our minerals should not be run on the same stupid exploitative capitalist lines like we do everything. Because exploitation of minerals has dire consequences for all of us. You see Accra, the whole of Accra. The whole of Accra has only one carbon sink, which is the Achimota forest. From the 1970s, when I became conscious of the Achimota forest, there hasn't been any government, and I mean no government from the 1970s, has seen the Achimota forest for what it is, carbon sink. Something which keeps us alive. You understand? Now, if you're conscious of the consequences of environmental degradation and so on, you would not be doing what government after government has been doing to the Achimota forest. Every now and then they come and tell us that, oh, some family owns it. And that family is demanding it. And they are getting into some agreement. Let that family go to hell. Because it's our lives. The lives of 4 million people are at stake. The lives of 4 million people cannot be sacrificed for the so-called interest of a family in that land which has become the Achimota forest. And we must get this clear. It's only possible to protect the Achimota forest if we see it as a property that is necessary for the survival of 4 million people and more. If you begin to look at it as something which can be exploited for private profit, you get it wrong. So our minerals, our forests, our rivers, and so on, should not be administered, should not be exploited, and so on, simply for private profit. It should be exploited reasonably in a balanced policy which recognizes that these are essential for our lives, for the quality of life of 32 million people. If we don't, we would arrive at this destination. You understand? Today, if you read the newspapers, watch television, and so on, you would not be mistaken if you come to the conclusion that ORA, Operation Recover or Loot, is more important than the fight against Galamsay. Would you?
No.
Would you? No. And yet, the fight against Galamsay is more crucial to the lives of the people of Ghana than all the other projects that we are talking about. Indeed, the ability of government to create jobs and so on is dependent on defeating Galamsay.
Yeah.
You understand? the ability of government to provide health care to our people is dependent on the fight against Galamsay. And so on. In any case, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Listen, we all know, don't we? Yeah. We all know. At least I have heard, you have heard, all of you have heard, party officials claiming on tape, that Galamsay provides the fuel for the organization of their party, the resources that they use to organize their party. They have said it publicly. We know about it. The security services know about it. The president knows about it. The attorney general knows about it. That this is an area where political parties exploit to generate money in order to be able to bribe the very people who are being killed by Galamsay operations. We know it, don't we? What have we done about it? You want to fight Galamsay in Ghana? And you have read the report which was presented by Professor Frimpong Boateng to his government. Haven't we heard about it? How is Professor Frimpong Boateng being involved in this fight? At least he was responsible for it. He has some basic facts. He claims to have names and so on. What are we doing with Professor Frimpong Boateng? Me, what do I know about Galamsay? Concretely, about the people involved, and so on. So if you want to fight Galamsay, it doesn't matter the political party to which Professor Frimpong Boateng belongs. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that he served the NPP regime. Yeah. What matters is that he has knowledge which we need in order to be able to fight Galamsay. How are we involving Professor Frimpong Boateng in this fight against Galamsay? And you see, my friends, that's why I'm getting increasingly worried by a new trend. A new trend. And it's a most dangerous trend, perhaps second to Galamsay. We have now arrived at a situation as a country where every national assignment is given only on the basis of which political party you belong to. That is stupid, yeah. That is criminal, that is anti-national. Today, let me say tomorrow, if ever the NPP should come back to power again.
Amen.
No, I'm not saying it is coming to power.
Amen.
I'm saying that it should ever come to power again. And I chose my words very carefully.
Yes, amen to that.
Don't say amen to it. It doesn't deserve your amen. You understand? Massa, I am quite sure that even to get employment as a medical officer will not be dependent on your qualification, but will be dependent on the party card you hold. What kind of country are we building? What kind of country are we building? And every now and then I go to social media and I see a list. So and so and so was a member of NPP. He's organizing this position, so get rid of him. Are you mad? Are you mad? We cannot decide everything on the basis of party affiliation. We've got to get beyond this. Begin to look at expertise, people's commitment to the nation and so on. That goes beyond party affiliation. You know, sometimes I get a sense that our politics has become like a war of gangs. You know, a war of criminal gangs. So one of them has captured some territory and is benefiting from it. If you manage to defeat that criminal gang, you establish your domain there like a mafia and you take control of everything for yourself, regardless of the national interest. And it's a danger that this country faces. This country must be governed as a country. It is one nation of one people with one common destiny. We need to revisit that slogan which General Achampong in his wisdom introduced. What is happening? My friend, what is happening in our country? So what about those who do not belong to political parties? They are not human beings anymore. So in our country today, if you do not belong to a political party, if you are not a member of a political party, you lose all your rights as a citizen. What nonsense is that? And then, so what? You know, we help you to win election and therefore we have an entitlement. You have what entitlement? This country, and Senna, listen to me very, very well. We went to an election. We elected President John Dramani Mahama as the chief manager of the affairs of this country. We did not sell Ghana to him. Ghana does not belong to him. Ghana does not belong to the NDC. Ghana did not belong to the NPP, and Ghana would never belong to the CPP. What we do when we go for elections is that we elect managers, and they are supposed to manage this country on behalf of all the citizens of the country. If they fail to do that, they cease to qualify as governments. And we must approach this fight against Galamsay with the same vehemence and within the same principle and so on. That's the only way we can move forward. That is the only way we can move forward.